Groundbreakers. Today we're tracking this landscape renovation from beginning to end. The homeowners want to entertain and garden, but a sloped yard with a drainage problem is an obstacle to both activities. Let's meet the landscape architect they've chosen to revamp their surroundings. So it looks like this is the source of the drainage problem.
We have a great amount of water coming across the front as well as across the back of the house.
I'm here with Chris Rowden of elandscapeplan.com, and Chris, the homeowners have done some landscaping on their own, but it lacks symmetry. They want to add some structure and beauty to their yard, but there are some problems like drainage. Could you tell us what they have to work with?
That was probably one of the biggest factors we had to take into consideration when doing this design. We wanted to take the water that currently washes all the way across the front of the house as well as washes across the back, and make that to be a nice issue where we're no longer having to deal with it once the work will be done.
Okay, well tell us about your plan. Tell us what you're going to do here.
Well, in dealing with the drainage first, what we're going to try to do is do a nice dry creek bed up front to take a negative feature and turning it into a positive. Let the water come across here, catch it into a catch basin, bring it down and let it discharge in the back to an existing catch basin. Same thing up top here, catch the drainage in a catch basin here, tie downspouts into the pipe underground so that we no longer have this sheet flow and this rutting of water of the ground across the surface of the ground.
Okay, now are there retaining walls planned here?
That was a big feature also. The existing yard has a slope from high to low, and it's just basically unusable. And what we've tried to do was to put in some retaining walls across the top here and another across the bottom to try to create a little middle shelf which is fairly level. It'll still have a little bit of slope here in the bottom. That's just something we have to deal with. But we've created three terrace levels now.
It looks like it'll enable them to get a lot of use out of the yard with this plan. I see a brick patio here, the zoysia lawn, and of course a nice wooded area. Tell us about that.
Well, the purpose for the brick paver patio was because they had an existing pond that was they really enjoyed looking out, and so we wanted to create this middle terrace so they could enjoy it and be able to sit down here and have different views into this nice wooded area where they have some nice shade. We can use some different plants. We get more sun in this area so they can look across the lawn. And really, there was no existing lawn to begin with, and so what we're going to try to do is to install a lawn area to have some nice contrast, to be able to make them feel like they can walk around the yard and have more usability. And just gives them a nice perspective. It creates more depth when looking from the house across the back.
Okay, let's move back over to the dry creek bed. It looks like you've added a nice bridge feature.
We did. That was just really something that we did for fun, giving them a little stepping stone walk path across the creek, and we'll be able to carry them down into the backyard if they need that for maintenance aspects. But really just kind of a little focal point. When their guests walk up to the front of the house, they'll be noticing the creek bed, they'll see the little bridge. It just creates an added dimension of interest.
Okay. What kind of plantings are you going to use?
Plantings are something that was we really wanted to be careful with because they like their plants. We wanted a lot of flowering material, we wanted some nice fragrances. We were trying to create some contrast between the leaf sizes, the plant heights, the colors of the leaf and when they bloom. So we've used some azaleas and some sweet shrub. We've used a number of camellias, fall blooming, spring blooming. We've used hydrangeas, gardenias, dianthus. We've used just a lot of plants to try to get some nice fragrances and contrast so that there's year-round interest even when they're not blooming.
Right, year-round interest, and of course you have to keep them adequately watered, and I understand some special things are going to be done with the irrigation system.
We really want to be very specific about where we put water on the site, not be wasteful. And so we're using drip irrigation back here in the wooded area underneath the overstory trees. We're using some low trajectory heads around the yard to try to not waste so much water in the air and mist, and just really be very efficient.
Well, Chris, this looks great. Of course, we'll talk to you later in the show, but for now, let's return to the backyard where some preparation work is underway. The backyard demolition begins with the removal of the grass. This will prepare for the extensive grading that's yet to come. Eventually, the slope will be replaced with usable level areas. A front end loader also helps with hardscape removal. Here, a worker takes out a concrete walkway. First, he extricates the walkway from the ground. Then he breaks the concrete up into manageable pieces for transport. Workers use sledgehammers and pickaxes to break up the concrete walkway at the back door. The chunks are then thrown into the front end loader and taken away. The deck stairs and landing are also extracted. Some tree stumps from past renovations still remain. The front end loader digs them out, but even for heavy machinery it's no small task. Another worker has to chop off the roots to get the job done. With the tree stumps and concrete walkways out of the picture, digging and grading begin in earnest to prepare for the new landscape. With the demolition done, this landscape can now be revitalized right before our eyes. When we return, the transformation begins. Stay with us.